Welcome to Lesson 16, Customers, Invoices, and Sales Receipts. To begin this lesson, go to the QuickBooks Online demo account as discussed in Lesson 4. In the last lesson, you learned how to maintain your products and services list, and if you recall, we added an inventory item called Small T-shirt and a service item called Monthly Rent. If you want to work along with me on this lesson, and you have restarted the demo account since doing the last lesson, you may need to add these items again. I'll quickly add them again here. So, to whom do we sell these products and services? Customers, of course, whether it's one of your union members who wants a t-shirt or a company who rents your building. In the context of buying something that you sell, they are a customer. In this lesson, I'm going to show you how to use the Customers area of QuickBooks Online to add or edit a customer, and how to create invoices and sales receipts. From the navigation bar, select Sales and then Customers. Here, you see your complete list of customers. If you need to call Red Rock Diner, scroll down to see their phone number. If you want to see their complete customer profile, click on the company name, Red Rock Diner. At the top of the customer profile screen, you will see some details, such as the address. Below that are 4 tabs: Transaction List, Projects, Customer Details, and Late Fees. Click on Customer Details to see all of the information related to this customer. Let's say that you are renting one of your buildings to Red Rock Diner, and you're going to give them 30 days to pay any invoice you send to them. Click the Edit button. Notice there are 2, one at the very top of the screen and one in the Details area. On the Payment and Billing tab, select Net 30 as the default payment terms. Notice there is an Attachments tab where you can add an attachment to a customer. Here you might attach a copy of your lease agreement. Click Save to commit your changes. Now let's examine the Transaction List tab. This area shows any activity you have had with this customer in the past. Notice the invoice in the amount of $156. If you want to see the details of any past transaction, click anywhere on the transaction except for the checkbox to the left. When you're finished reviewing the transaction, click the lower X in the upper right to return to the transaction list. Notice the small hamburger control with an arrow to the left of Red Rock Diner's name. This button will display a list of all customers so that you can move to another record, or you can click on the word Customers to return to the entire list. And of course, you can also go back to your navigation bar and select Sales, Customers to return to the full customer list. To add a new customer, click the New Customer button in the upper right. A dialog box appears. Let's add a company named Garden Partners at 300 Bankers Lane, Miami, Florida, 21212, with a phone number of 444-444-1212. After completing the details for this customer, click Save. Now you will see Garden Partners in the list. Click on their name to go into their customer profile, and notice the transaction list is empty because you have not done business with them yet. A customer may go out of business or stop buying what you sell. For instance, Red Rock Diner might eventually buy their own building and no longer rent from you. Be aware that you cannot delete a customer. However, you can make a customer inactive. Let's return to our list of customers and scroll down to Wedding Planning by Whitney. To make them inactive, click the Edit button to edit their profile. In the lower left corner, click Make Inactive and confirm your decision. Notice that Wedding Planning by Whitney is no longer in our list. If you ever need to see inactive customers, scroll to the top of the customer list and click the small gear. Select Include Inactive. Now you can see Wedding Planning by Whitney and make them active again if desired. Return to your list of customers and locate Red Rock Diner. It's time to invoice them for their monthly rental of your building. To the far right on the Customers row, select Create Invoice from the Action drop-down list. Notice the terms of the invoice are net 30 because you set those default terms in Red Rock's customer profile. Make sure you're happy with the invoice date. Next, select the drop-down list in the Product Service column. Look familiar? It's your Products and Services list. Now you understand why you must create this list before you create an invoice. Otherwise, you wouldn't have anything to sell. Scroll down to Monthly Rent, which we added as a service, and the amount of $1,500 should fill in automatically. To print the invoice, in the bottom middle of the screen is a Print or Preview option. But scroll to the top of the invoice and notice the email field. If you have an email for your customer, QuickBooks Online can send them an electronic copy via email so that you don't even need to print and mail it. Just click the Save and Send button in the lower right. Now, since this is a Play account, let's just select Save and Close. So, you now know how to create an invoice from your list of customers. But at any time, you can create an invoice by going to the New button with the plus sign at the top of your navigation bar. From there, select Invoice. This brings up the same form you just completed for creating an invoice. However, you need to select your customer. Garden Partners wants 10 of our small t-shirts. So let's invoice them. Select Small T-shirts as the product service and change the quantity to 10. Notice the price of $25 populates automatically. Click the Print option at the bottom to preview the invoice. Then cancel the preview and save and close the invoice. On the navigation bar, go to Sales, Products and Services and look at the current number of small t-shirts. Because you've sold 10 to Garden Partners, you only have 5 left in stock. Hey, this is awesome! Now you have an inventory system. If you go to the closet and find only 4 t-shirts, you'll know someone took a shirt. Now you have at least 2 invoices. On the navigation bar, go to Sales, Invoices, and you will see a complete list of invoices, both paid and unpaid. Locate your invoice to Red Rock Diner and notice the Actions drop-down list to the far right. From that list, you can do things like print, send, or void the invoice. You can also receive a payment, but we'll be looking at that in the next lesson. This is a great place to manage all of your invoices, but don't forget that you can always go to a customer's profile and view the transaction list to see only invoices for that particular customer. Hopefully, you're beginning to realize that there are multiple ways to get information in QuickBooks Online. Now, let's switch gears from invoices to sales receipts. How do you sell something without creating an invoice? For instance, if a union member walks in the door and wants to purchase a t-shirt, you aren't going to hand him or her an invoice with net 15 terms and hope they pay it. No, you're going to take their payment right then. In that case, it's more like walking into a grocery store and buying bread. You want the bread right then, so you hand the clerk money and they hand you the bread and a sales receipt so that everyone has proof of the transaction. To create a sales receipt in QuickBooks Online, select the New button with the plus sign at the top of the navigation bar and select Sales Receipt. Choose the name of the customer. If the customer does not exist already, notice that you can add them on the fly by clicking Add New at the top of the list. Now, this brings up an interesting issue for ironworkers. You may never sell anything to this particular guy again, so is it really worth adding him as a customer just to sell him a t-shirt? In this case, you might consider creating a generic customer named Union Member and select that every time one of them comes in to buy apparel or supplies. So I'm going to select Add New and enter Union Member as my customer name, and then click Save. From the Product Service column, select Small T-shirt with a quantity of 1. If the person wants a copy of their sales receipt, go to the bottom center and print it. Otherwise, just click Save and Close, hand them the shirt, and say thanks. If I return to my products and services list, I now see that I have 4 shirts in stock. Let's run through one more scenario. Say one of your folks wants to grab 2 t-shirts to give away for free at an event. To keep up-to-date inventory, you would create a sales receipt. You could add your own organization as a customer so that you know you were the ones who took the shirts. So I'll pretend that I'm LU808 and add us as a customer. Now I would select my small t-shirt, enter a quantity of 2, and change the price to 0. Click Save and Close. If I return to my products and services list, I now see that I have 2 shirts in stock. Because the price was set to 0, I don't have a corresponding financial transaction, but I do have correct inventory numbers. And I have proof of what happened to the 2 shirts in the form of a sales receipt. So this was an important lesson. You now understand that depending on when you receive a payment, there are 2 ways to record sales transactions in QuickBooks. For a deferred payment, use Invoice. Think of this as a 2-part transaction. First, you create the invoice to record the sale. Later, when your customer pays, you will record a payment against that invoice. But for an immediate payment, use sales receipts. Before we leave this lesson, I want to mention one other issue in QuickBooks Online. Sometimes you have a situation where the same company is both a vendor and a customer. Perhaps Red Rock Diner is a customer because they rent your building, but they are also a vendor because you use them for catering your meetings. Can a company be entered into QuickBooks as both a vendor and a customer? The answer is yes. However, watch what happens if I now go to Expenses Vendors and try to add Red Rock Diner as a vendor. When I click Save, it tells me there's a problem. The problem is you can't use the exact same name in both areas. I already have them entered as Red Rock Diner in my customers area, so here I can't use that exact name. What some people do to work around this situation is add a -V after their name, like this, Red Rock Diner -V. Or if you had them entered as a vendor first, over in the customers, you might add them as Red Rock Diner -C. It's an irritating problem that they may fix in the future, but at least you know a workaround for now.